Good morning, students. So today I am going to show you the second practical program in Java using NetBeans. The question is, you are asked to write a program in Java to demonstrate the use of the JList control. The program should accept the title of a person in a list box, such as Mr., Mrs. or Miss, then its name in a text box, and then append those into a text area control. So as of now, I will just minimize this notepad window, then use the mouse cursor to point over this icon, that is NetBeans IDE version 8.2. Double click on this icon, and as soon as you do that, you will see the startup screen of NetBeans IDE getting loaded. And here is your NetBeans IDE window. Now the very first thing that you have to do is to create a project. So use your mouse cursor, bring it over here, click on File, and then click New Project. So this is your window that appears. Select Java under the Categories box and Java Application under the Projects box, and then come below, hit the Next button. Then another window like this appears, where you have to specify the name of the project. You can either leave it as Java Application 11, or else you can specify your own project name. Let me specify the project name as JList Pros 0. So here is your project name, it's JList Pros 0. Then come below, uncheck this box, that is create main class. Then at the bottom, hit this finish button. It says the project folder by this name JList Pros 0 already exists. So let's choose a different name. Let me choose JList Pros 0 Quest. Okay, so here is your new project name, it's JList Pros 0 Quest. Then come below, hit this finish button. Now on doing this, your project, that is JList Pros 0 Quest, gets created. Now again, use your mouse cursor, select your project, right click on it, click on New, and then choose JFrame form. Click on it. Here is the window for creating a new JFrame form. But before that, you have to specify a class name for your JFrame form. You can either leave it as new JFrame, or else you can specify a new name for the class. Let me specify a new name for the class. Let's say the class name is JList Pros 0 class. Okay, so here is your class name for this JFrame form, it's JList Pros 0 class. Then come below, hit the finish button. Now here is your class, that is JList Pros 0 class, that you have created for this form, and this is the JFrame form. Initially, the size of this JFrame form is much smaller, but you can extend its size by using your mouse cursor to drag its ends, and on dragging its ends, the size of this form becomes much larger. Now that the size of this form has become much larger, depending upon your needs, you can put as many controls as you like onto this form from this palette section. Now see, you are asked to write a program in Java to demonstrate the use of a JList control, and it should accept the title of a person in a list box. So at first you will need the title of a person. So you will need a label that will represent the title of a person. So just come over here, drag the label under the swing controls using your mouse onto this form. By default, the text that gets displayed in this label is JLabel1, but you can change this text. Just click on this label, then right click, come below, click on properties. Now see, by default the text for this label is JLabel1. Now you change it to title. Okay, you change it to title and then close this window. Now your label shows the text title. Now see, the title of a person should be selected from a list box. So you will need another control known as the list box. So come over here, find the list box under the swing controls. Here is your list box. Drag this list box over here. You can even extend its size to make the list box slightly bigger. So this is the label called title, and this is the list box corresponding to this label title. Now by default, the elements in these list boxes are item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4 and item 5. But these elements do not represent title. So for title, you need elements such as Mr., Mrs. and Miss. So now change these default items. Right click on this list box, go to properties, and then see this model section under this properties. Here the default items are located, that is item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4 and item 5. Change these default items, that is item 1 till item 5. Let the first item be Mr. for representing the title. The second item, let it be Miss, and let the third item be Mrs. for representing the title. Now once you set these elements for the list box, click on OK and then close it. So here are your elements for the list box. Now clearly Mr., Miss and Mrs. represents the title of a person. Now you will need another label control to represent name and a text box where you can supply the inputs for name. So come over here, drag another label onto this form. By default, the text that gets displayed for this label is JLabel2. So right click on it, go to properties and change the text to name. Okay, then I give a colon just to look much better. Let's close it. Even in title also I'm going to put a colon just to look a bit more attractive. Now from time to time you got to save it, so click on file and then hit this save button. So here is the label with a text name that you have added. Now you need a text field where you can input the name. So drag this text field onto this form just as I have shown. Now by default the text field shows the text jtext field 1. So right click on this text field, click properties, and just remove this text for the text field, keep it as empty. Now this looks much better. So you got a free space to input your name in this text field. Now the title of the person that you have selected from the list box and the name of the person that you have input in this text box has to be added on the click of a button into a textarea control, and the name of that button will be the append button. So again, let's find out the button control from here. Here is the button control. Okay, so drag it onto this form, increase its size. Okay, now by default the text that gets displayed onto this button control is jbutton1. Right click on it, go to properties and change the text from jbutton1 to append, and then close this window. So here is your append button. Now the purpose of this append button is to take the entries from title and name and then copy it into a textarea control when you click on this append button. So you will need another control known as the textarea control. So find the textarea control under the swing control section. So here is your textarea control. Drag it onto this form. So this is your textarea control. The only difference between the text field control and the textarea control is that the text field control accepts only single line text, whereas this textarea control accepts multiple line texts as well. Now on clicking this append button, the title and the name of a person will be taken from this list box and text field, and then it will get stored into this textarea control. But all these stuffs, that is the title of the person and the name of the person from the list box and from the text field, will get copied onto this textarea control once the particular source code gets executed on the click of this append button. So double click on this append button. On doing that, your mouse cursor will come over here. There is a comment line saying to do, add your handling code here. That means you are supposed to write the Java code out here. So remove this comment line, and from here you are going to put the Java code. So now you have to identify the name of your list box. So go to design, this is your list box, select this list box. These are your texts or your elements inside this text box, which are Mr., Miss and Mrs. This comes under the model section. But what is the name of this list box? The name of this list box is JList1. You can find it here or else you click on this list box, right click, go to properties. Here is the name of the list box, it's JList1. So close this window again. Now the first thing that we have to do is to set the selection mode of this list box. So let's say we give the selection mode for this list box as normal, so that you are going to put in the appropriate place as a Java statement. So this is your appropriate place inside this JButton1 action performed method. Now this method, that is JButton1 action performed, comes from the append button, because the name of your append button is, if you see the properties window, it's JButton1. So on clicking this append button, this method gets activated, which is JButton1 action performed, and inside this method you are going to put your Java code. So the first thing that you are going to do is to set the selection mode for this list box named JList1 to normal, and this can be done by the statement JList1 dot set selection mode, then within bracket put normal, then end this statement with a semicolon. Now once you have set the selection mode of this JList control into normal, you can take its entries, that is Mr., Miss or Mrs. for title, and the entry of the text field to get copied into this text area control. And this can be done by writing a statement called jtextarea1 dot set text, or you can even put jtextarea1 dot append, then within bracket put JList1 dot get selected value. So you are using the jtextarea1 class to call the append method, and this append method is going to add the selected value from the list box control, which is JList1. Now let's find the selected value that you are going to get from this JList1 to append it into the text area control, that is jtextarea1. This method getSelectedValue can return either Mr., Miss or Mrs. from this list box, and then append it into this jTextarea control. Now once the selected value gets appended into the jTextarea control, then along with it you also try to append the input from the text field, that is from here jtextfield1, and that is done using the statement jtextfield1 dot get text. end this statement with a semicolon. Now see, just adding the selected value from the list box and the input from the text field onto the textarea control is not enough. This is because once the first entry gets added into the textarea control, the next entry should not get added into the same place where the first entry was made. So for that, you have to bring the mouse cursor to the next line once the first input into the textarea control gets added. And for that to happen, you just have to add the /n character at the end of the statement. And the /n character is going to put the mouse control or the mouse cursor to the next line once the first entry for the jtext control has been made. So as of now, save this project. Now just try to run this program. Click on run and click run project. A window like this gets appeared. So at the bottom click OK. So this is your output window where the interface gets displayed. Now from the list box known as JList1, try to select the elements out of Mr., Miss or Mrs. as the title. Let me select the title as Miss. Now specify the name of that person. Let me specify the name of that person as Jasmine, and then click on this Append button to add the element Miss for title and Jasmine for name onto this textarea control. So click on this Append button, and once you do that, you can see Miss and Jasmine getting displayed onto this textarea control from the list box and the text field. Now one more thing here, if you see this name, there is no gap between the title and the name. See, there is no gap between the title Miss and the name Jasmine. So in order to put the gap between the title and the name, just close this window and go to source again. This is your title and this is your name. So in between the title and the name, put a gap or a space like this. Now save the project again, and once you do this, try running this project again. Now again, select Miss as your title and Jasmine as your name and hit this Append button. Now see, the name Miss Jasmine appears in your textarea control with a space between the title and the name, and this looks much clearer. Now say if you want to put another name into this textarea control, say the title of that person is Mr. and name is Austin. Now hit the Append button. Now see, the new name, that is Mr. Austin, does not get displayed in the same line where the entry for Miss Jasmine was made. That means the entry for Mr. Austin does not get displayed in the same line as that of Miss Jasmine. This is because the mouse cursor has moved from the first line into the second line. And this is because of this /n character that you have put at the end. So this was your Java program. This was your Java program that demonstrated the use of the JList control, and it has accepted the title of a person in a list box, the name in a text box, and then appended it into a textarea control. And here is your output. So that's all for today, and in the next class I will start a new Java program.